Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for a modern-day Romeo and Juliet story? Are you ready for one of the cutest contrasts of height relationships ever? Are you ready to sail the high seas because Netflix are a bunch of dumb that decided to delay one of the most anticipated shows of the season? Then do I have a show for you? Yes, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, a series that I honestly was really excited for. One, because it's being done by Cloverworks, the PVs looked absolutely gorgeous, everybody was hyping up the source material, the ratings on the source material were really up there, just all this stuff was mounting up for me going, hey, I really am excited for this show. Yes, a lot of it having to do with Karuko, the main girl, being extremely adorable, and I just want to hug her to death. But additionally, yes, I think I was just kind of looking for a good romance show. Like, I feel like right now I want that. I just want to sink my teeth into something like that. And honestly, after the first 4 episodes, I'm pretty hooked so far. I think the only thing that's kind of holding me back a little bit is the Romeo and Juliet aspect. We'll see. We'll see. That kind of stuff just kind of gets under my skin a bit too much. Fragrant Flower Blooms opens up in the battlefield that is 2 schools that are sitting right next to each other. Yes, Kikyo Private Academy Girls High School and Chidori Public High School. Now, Kikyo is pretty much an academy for prestigious girls, like rich girls, very refined girls, while Chidori, yes, is full of all the dregs of societies, the ones that just cannot get good proper grades. If you have no other options for schools, that's the last one you go to. Like, your grade sucks, no other school will take you, Chidori's the one that takes you. And we zero in on Rentaro. Rentaro is a very tall guy that has a very kind of mean-looking face, and this has kind of led a lot of people to kind of isolate him. Everybody makes assumptions for what kind of a person he is. They just assume he's a bad guy, and this got him into a lot of trouble. Well, unbeknownst to all of his friends at school, his family owns a cake shop, and so every now and then he'll get pulled into having to work there. He avoids going to the front of the shop because he's afraid of scaring off customers because, again, he just looks so mean. Well, one day he gets asked by his mother to take care of the front of the store. They only have one customer in there. It's raining. Nobody's probably going to come by. Sure enough, he goes out there, and he ends up seeing the one customer that's there, and that is Karuko. And Karuko at the time has like this big spread of a bunch of wrappers, like she's been eating a whole bunch of cakes. And as he's watching her and she's eating the last piece of her cake, she ends up spotting him, nearly choking on her cake before running out of the place. Well, Rintaro just assumes, again, another person that just finds me to look horrible and mean, and I just scared away the customer, and kind of find out it's like a regular that comes by there, so he's like, crap, I just scared off a regular. Well, sure enough, the girl actually comes back the next day to apologize to him, said that she wasn't running away because, you know, she was scared of him or anything like that, and that she actually wants to know what his name is, to which he introduced himself as Rentaro, and she's very happy about this. Finally, she was able to discover his name. He's like, wait, finally? It's like, yeah, I see you working around here on a regular basis, and I was curious who you were. Well, the two of them kind of hit it off a little bit here. He kind of assumes that she's from, like, middle school because she's so short and so petite. Well, come to find out, one day while he's sitting in class early in the morning, he's looking out the window to see where the Kikyo Academy is there, where typically all the blinds are closed because they don't want the girls to see the Chidori Public High School. Well, the curtains this morning happens to open up, and it's Karuko, and she spots Rintaro, and he immediately panics and closes the blinds. And this sort of turns into kind of this misconception that Rintaro ends up having, and the idea that, yes, he's surrounded by people that absolutely hate the kids from Kikyo. And even that day, Karuko goes to the front gates to wait for Rintaro to come out, and everybody starts panicking from both sides. They're like, girl, what are you doing over there in front of Chidori? And the guys from Chidori are like, what are you even doing here? You're from Kikyo. There's this fear that kind of starts building up within Rintaro and the idea of, crap, now that she knows that I'm from Chidori, she's not going to want to associate with me. And at the same time, if she associates with me, she's going to cause problems for herself. But after Rintaro's mother ends up kind of setting him off to the side and kind of setting him straight, he comes to realize that he's doing exactly to Karuko that everybody has done to him his entire life. The idea of immediately labeling somebody and making your assumptions based on what's going on around you. He's assuming that Karuko is just like everybody else from Kikyo, and at the same time, he's treating her improperly, just like all the people of Chidori are treating Kikyos. Which just leads to him to apologize to her, the fact that he's kind of mislabeling her like that, and that he does want to get to know her more, which makes her really happy because it seems like she really wants to learn more about him as well. What follows this is them kind of hanging out with each other every now and then. Again, you get a true sense of the fact that these two schools really don't like each other. Rentaro's kind of keeping it a secret that they know each other. We end up meeting Subaru, who is like the childhood friend of Karuko, who really badly wants Rentaro to not associate with her anymore because it will cause her problems. We kind of find out Karuko herself isn't actually from a rich family. It's that she got a scholarship with her grades and kind of worked to be able to get to Kikyo. So her friend, knowing how hard she worked, is really trying to protect her. Because we kind of find out that it's not just the students of Kikyo that don't like Chidori. It's actually the teachers that hate it even more. So there's a very deep-rooted issue here between these two schools. Probably the source of why there's this big problem between these two schools. So my thoughts on The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. Like I said earlier, I am really liking the show so far. And I would probably say like 75% of my love for the show so far is just Karuko. Karuko is absolutely freaking adorable. And I will honestly say she's legit Shizuka from 100 Girlfriends Who Really, Really Love You, which is hilarious because the main character of this show, his name is Rintaro. Now, we'll say, Rintaro of this show doesn't hold a candle to Rintaro from 100 Girlfriends. Rintaro from 100 Girlfriends is literally like the perfect main character. He's just too perfect. But no, overall, I think all of my enjoyment for this show has really been around Rintaro and Karuko. I think their chemistry is just absolutely pure and beautiful. I absolutely love it. From Rintaro's perspective, I really do like him as a character so far because, well, yes, very, very tropish in the idea that he is the guy that looks scary. Everybody sees him and his face just always looks scary, but he's actually just a big teddy bear. That whole thing where everybody just has this misconceptions about him. It causes him a lot of troubles. Everybody thinks he's like a thug. It gets him involved with a lot of mean people. And yes, the people around him just kind of become casualties to that whole conflict. That stuff. We're getting that typical thing. But it's been doing a really good job of kind of getting deeper and deeper and deeper into that element to where it is kind of surprising me a lot. And the idea this is somebody that has been in that situation for so long that he sees no self-value in himself. He just doesn't think that anybody will like him. He's never going to have relationships. And yes, everybody's always going to be labeling him. He overthinks every interaction with people because he always assumes the worst. Even in cases where he is hanging out with his friends at his school, like Shohei, Saku, and Ayato, and you have this case where Saku is acknowledging that Rintaro is acting different. And we know from our perspective it's because he's having such a good time with Karuko. But Rintaro doesn't want to say anything because he doesn't see that sort of connection with them. And he just assumes that they might, start bad-mouthing Kikyo again. They're not going to like that he's hanging out with them. And this kind of extends further when they go out to study together. And it doesn't seem like Rintaro sees himself as a part of the group. They're all excited for the sports festival, and Shohei has to, pretty much cement into his head, look, hey, we're excited about you being a part of the sports festivals with us as well. Like, he doesn't seem to see himself as a part of the group, even though it constantly shows how Shohei is trying to pull him into the group. Or Saku is going out of his way in order to defend him. That kind of stuff. This guy has very low self-esteem. He doesn't see value in himself, and he downplays himself a lot. And I love seeing how, like, his mother, that whole scene with his mother pretty much trying to drill in his head, I didn't know that I raised such a dense son. You're doing exactly to her what you don't like people doing to you. You can't accept praise, you keep trying to down yourself, you blame yourself for everything. Wake up kind of thing. This is a guy that's kind of had this stuff cemented in his head. And so seeing him sort of slowly try to push himself out more, try to get better for himself, and it's all kind of predicated around the fact that he likes being around Karuko. And I'm assuming that's probably going to kind of dive into his element of trying to better himself. Because again, he's at a school where it's for the dregs of society. It's for the individuals that can't even pass tests. Like, this guy tried really hard just to get like a 59 on his test. I think there's going to be an element here where, because of Karuko's kind of nature of working really, really hard, he's going to want to better himself. He's going to want to improve himself and stop assuming that he's always going to be a failure and that everybody's always going to hate him. Now, again, like I said earlier, Karuko, adorable. Like, 75% of my love for the show is just Karuko. She's just way too freaking beautiful. She's adorable. I love the contrast between his height and her height. There's this one scene where, yes, this nasty guy ends up cornering Karuko, and he's bad-mouthing Rintaro, and at some point she's like, have you ever talked to Rintaro? How do you know all this stuff is true? Like, it's okay that you don't like him, and it's okay that you don't want to talk to him, but stop bad-mouthing him if you've never talked to him. And this sets off the guy, and he nearly goes to punch her, and Rintaro teleports from the street all the way down in front of her, and shields her, and ends up scraping his head on the shutters of the shop. But afterwards, after the guys run off, because again, they look at him and he's terrifying, she ends up seeing that he's bleeding, and she goes to hit it with the napkin, and so she has to literally, like, climb up. She grabs his collar and yanks him down and gets on tippy toes to kind of reach up. It's so freaking cute. She is so freaking adorable. And then later on their study session, her kind of tying up her hair, she looks absolutely beautiful. She's just an adorable character, and Cloverworks is just, Chef kiss. They're doing such a fantastic job of her. Her expressions, the close-ups of her face, the cutesy moments like her getting caught eating cake and having that little, chubby cheek kind of thing going on. Her just being happy about eating cake. Just every shot of her is just absolutely gorgeous. They're doing such a great job of her. That aside, her as a character, I love so far. Yes, they're kind of painting her in that realm of being the overly naive about the world around her. But I like the fact that it's very quickly shifted that. In the very early moments of the show, I had a feeling that it was going to go the route that this girl just doesn't realize that everybody hates each other, and then when everybody's trying to tell her that everybody hates each other, she's going to keep going, no, that's not right. Everybody should come together. Like, this girl does acknowledge reality, and I like that. I like very quickly she finally comes to Rintaro and says, hey, I know it's causing problems. I'm sorry. I won't do that again. Going in front of the gate, yeah, I end up causing a lot of problems. She's already acknowledging that this is a kind of a dangerous thing to kind of mess with. What gets deeper with her character is kind of seeing how she acknowledges the good in Rintaro, acknowledges what he's doing well. And I like the fact that at some point it does technically acknowledge why she accepts him, unlike other people. When we do meet Subaru, who is like her childhood friend, it does kind of give an indication that a lot of people are afraid of her because of her different looks. People get the wrong impression of her. They assume that she's kind of mean. She kind of seen past that. And I think she gets the same effect with Rintaro. But additionally, seeing that she's not just a rich girl. This is a girl that tried very, very hard and worked very, very hard in order to get this scholarship, in order to get to this school, because it was a school that she wanted to go to. And then getting in further into the idea of the risk that she's sort of taking with being around Rintaro, because everything's been building up to this moment, and associating with Rintaro is kind of putting a lot of that stuff in danger. And then additionally helping him with his studies and whatnot is technically taken away from all that study. I'm kind of wondering when all this stuff is going to start to kind of come to a breaking point, really. But that's sort of where I get into my biggest uncertainty about this show overall. I'm not a big fan of Romeo and Juliet stories, and this is really going in that direction. This is obviously, there's two sides of this battlefield. It's the prestigious nobles, it's the commoners over here, and the two of them are in love, but nobody wants them to be together kind of thing. And I'm not typically a fan of that. Not that I hate Romeo and Juliet itself, because I've enjoyed many Romeo and Juliet stories in the past. I'm just kind of sick of it. And this is already kind of painting in that realm of just everybody being kind of stupid around each other. I acknowledge that it's a real thing, especially in Japan. I acknowledge this is a thing, and especially the teachers. When they brought up the teachers, I'm like, yeah, I can see this being very political. I can see this being a very political thing where the faculty of Kikyo doesn't like the faculty of Chidori. There's somebody up the high-ups that just don't like each other. They don't like that they're next to each other. They want the other one gone or something like that. And they're passing that on to the children. And so the children have this kind of high superiority or this anger for the other side that's technically going to happen. I acknowledge that this is definitely a thing that happens, and I acknowledge that a lot of what they're doing here is sadly reality. But at the same time, it's just kind of frustrating to watch in a lot of cases. I mean, it hasn't been too bad so far. I think my biggest annoyance was really around Subaru when she first shows up and questions why Rintaro is around Karuko. This is a childhood friend that has seen Karuko and all the hard work that she's done in order to get that scholarship and be in that school, and she doesn't want that to fall apart. The moment that they find out that she's associating with you, it's going to cause problems. I can totally see, yes, the teacher starting to flunk her on things, or them messing up her study sessions or something like that, or just not giving any favor to her, not listening to her, not acknowledging her, and that impacting her grades and ultimately her scholarship there. But the whole scene with her confronting Rintaro was just kind of a bit too much, because the moment that Shohei and his friends show up, they just start kind of getting really weird about it. Shohei is getting all close up to Karuko, and then for some reason Rintaro teleports in front of Karuko and just like smacks Shohei away, and it's like, dude, he's not, he just like went, oh, I think I recognize you, Karuko, and for some reason Rintaro thinks that he's gonna assault her and just like smacks him away, and it's like, okay, bring it down a couple notches. This is too much drama. You're on that borderline of melodrama. Just chill out a little bit. But I mean, other than that, it was a really awesome scene. I like seeing Saku and how he gets really frustrated and overly protective of Rintaro. Again, seeing Subaru and how she's overly defensive of Karuko. There's a lot in this scene that still ends up coming out to fruition in a very thoughtful way. It's just that there's that little bit in there where it's like, you're acting a little weird here. I can follow you, but then you keep doing these weird things where it's like, this is not how people associate with each other. Everybody here has friends. They're not like antisocial here. They know how to communicate to each other. It's ramping it up. It's obviously ramping up the whole Romeo and Juliet concept here, and it's working fine, but it's every now and then it just just chill out. My criticism of the Romeo and Juliet stuff aside, I do think that is sort of fueling some really interesting interaction between Rintaro and Karuko. I'm really kind of interested to see how they sort of navigate the whole system. I think the acknowledgement that Karuko is sort of getting right now, or at least Subaru and Rintaro are kind of exchanging, is this idea that in interacting with him, it's going to put her future at some sort of risk. I'm assuming that at some point that's going to come to a head. You're probably going to have a lot of the teachers and faculty kind of learning about this. It's probably going to start weighing on her that she needs to distance herself in order to not cause that conflict. I'll be curious to see if it ends up coming into a thing where their relationship ends up sort of bringing the two schools together. I would assume there's a lot of like very unique looking girls inside of the Kikyo side, and they might start getting with, you know, Shohei and Saku and Ayato. That whole thing might end up happening. We'll see, but it's been a really good setup. Like I said before, I think a lot of my love and enjoyment so far has been easily around Rintaro and Karuko's relationship. I just think the two of them, the contrast of height, I just absolutely love. Their relationship so far has been blossoming so well. I just want to root them on. I just want to root them on and yes, root on little petite cute Karuko and how much cake she can shove in that belly. It was so sweet to find out that she's like working part-time job, again, not a rich girl, just to be able to buy all those cakes because yeah, especially cake sweets in Japan, very pricey. She's like single-handedly like funding that entire cake shop right there. It's like, damn. But anyways, yeah, that's my thoughts on the series so far. Absolutely loving it. Looking forward to more. Again, my biggest disappointment is the fact that Netflix is delaying this by so much. I, like many other people, I'm not going to wait for it. I'm sorry, Netflix, VPNs, all that kind of stuff. We're going to get to it. Whether you want to show it or not, yes, for those that don't know, if you still want to do it legally, you can use VPNs to go into the, release that's in Japan, and they have English subtitling over there. It's very unfortunate. I hate the idea that this can't be a weekly thing, that everybody's kind of enjoying together. Instead, it's kind of getting separated. You're going to have a lot of people that's not going to wait, and then later on when it does come out, and even still then it's going to be doing weekly, you're going to have a different group of people enjoying it there. It just overall sucks. It's like a no-win situation that's going to end up unfortunately making the show look like it's less successful than it should be. But anyways, that's my thoughts on the series so far, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it informative. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and want to support the channel more, become a member of the channel. But until next time, y'all take care.